Okay, so where we left off last time on the G is not the prettiest, I'll say. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I'm not trying to... There it goes. Oh. Oh. But the good thing is we are actually extremely close to being completely done and having this thing back on the ground and drivable, although it may not really look like it. But lucky for us, we have not only the wheels, but all the suspension just showed up the other day. And although the last thing you guys saw was that the car wasn't even running, we do have everything put back together and confirmed that it all works, has a good healthy idle. Bump primed. And we're good, baby. The reason I didn't record it is because there's so many videos out there that show you exactly how to do everything that I did. But first, we gotta get this drive shaft in so we can even move on. Okay, I got the drive shaft. Apparently, just so you know, the automatic and manual drive shafts are, I think, the same length, except you have a little piece that goes up here. I'll put a shot of it in here because I have one out back that's an auto. That has a little flange up here that you essentially just have to cut off and it should work. Don't quote me on that, but from what I've read in some forums, that should do it. But let's go ahead and get this pig in here. There we go. Get it on a little bit. The bolt goes through the front. You can't really get it through the back side, plus driving force. If this nut ever backs off, you're usually driving forward, so this nut will always try and keep itself because of, you know, gravity and directional whatever the fuck. These will most likely stay in unless they just vibrate out, but at least you'll have the pressure of them moving backwards while the car is moving forwards. Just a little extra security added. Now we officially have the engine and transmission connected to the diff. Let's go, baby. I'm gonna go and hit all this stuff with PB because I know it's gonna be a pain in my dick to get off. All right, let's just do some YouTube magic from here, because if you wanted to look up how to remove all the rear suspension of a Z, you can easily do that. I don't need to show you. I'm not the best mechanic in the world anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. 3, 2, 1. And just like that, we have all of the arms and just a floating knuckle. So. Okay, before we can keep going on this, I actually need to run to my buddy Brennan's. A lot of you guys have heard me talk about him before. I buy a bunch of my used GMZ parts from him. It's also where I got this car originally from, along with, he helped me get this car actually. So he's actually been selling Z and G parts on eBay and Facebook for God knows how long now, 10 plus years easy. And he finally quit his job and pursuing his own business and selling parts. So he just opened up his own shop. Still in the works of it, but I'll leave him linked in the description in case any of you guys are looking for any parts or anything, or doing anything remotely similar to this and need to replace some stuff while you're there. Go ahead and hit him up. He does ship all over the country and I think worldwide. I'm not too sure, but we got to run to his house, pick up a sway bar because this one was jacked out of the car before it was sold to me. So he had to get me one out of another car that he picked up. So I'm gonna go grab that and we'll get right back to this. All right, back from Brennan's. Got the front sway bar, so we'll get to that whenever we get to the front kit. But like we were working on, let's get back to the rear and install these FDF arms. We have a little bit more than just arms in here because we are obviously going with FDF up front for the angle kit. Now, a lot of you guys have seen on the Z that I run the Mega Mantis kit and I absolutely love it, but this car is going to be a little bit different. It's not quite as elaborate as that car, nor does it have a motor swap. For one, stock power, all that stuff. No need for a massive angle kit. We are going with the FDF mild Mantis kit with the upper control arms, but those haven't shown up yet. We'll get to those whenever they do. But before we go diving into the front kit, let's go ahead and cut these open and see what they even look like. Obviously, I don't want to cut the part. All right, there we go. They look nice. Some of you guys may remember that I actually used the ISR arms on here back when I wrecked at Fuel Fest last year. I had completely destroyed the Z1 rear arms that I had, which I had only had the camber arm and bucket delete. We destroyed that side, so we had to completely replace it, and luckily Scott had some ISR arms, but this time I wanted to be able to go ahead and go FDF rear and front, but I didn't want the full like grip kit in the rear because that's not really necessary for a stock G35 essentially. Well, we got them all out. They look absolutely fantastic. This is obviously really good quality metal. Yes, they're pretty parts, but they're gonna go on a drift car and get used and abused, so let's go ahead and get them on there. So check this out. This is our little bracket that is usually for the e-brake, which this is an automatic, so it's a foot brake for the e-brake, which we're not using anyways, but this fits perfectly right here through the bracket. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on and bolt it up from behind, and that'll keep our bracket in place where we want it to while we do everything else. And we'll just get these hand tight so we can still move this bracket around a little bit. You'll have multiple different sizes ranging from the short ones to the long ones, and then these black ones that are extra long. These ones are specifically for the hub, so they'll go through right there. And then the Brimbos will use the short bolt, and then your regular G35 350Z calipers will use the long bolts. We'll get to those in a minute though. I'm gonna go ahead and sneak 2 of these through there, and then we can take our hub and bolt it up. And remember, your hub does bolt on one way. Do not get it wrong. It's going to be hard to get wrong, but you know, we'll go ahead and hand tight these to where the hub can just stay there and not move. Also, you may have noticed I did not put the dust shield back on. I did the same exact thing on the Z. I didn't put it back on. It's been totally fine. I understand it's going to kick around some more dust from the brake pads, but that's just what you live with if you're cool with that. But if not, cut the other side so that you can have this caliper opened up and it doesn't interfere with this, or just toss it out like I'm gonna do. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to is that we have these pretty thick washers, and essentially what these are for is because we added a spacer in between the knuckle and the hub, so now that spaces the dual caliper out a little bit. So these are the exact same size as the dual caliper bracket, so that you can put them over here on the original OEM caliper, so that it's the same exact distance away, just like on the bracket. So do not forget to put these on whenever you go to put the original caliper back on. You'll go to drive this thing down the road and it will not move anywhere. Before we go putting an arm in, we want to make sure that we're making it almost the exact same length as the factory arms. Just for a starting point, I'm gonna go ahead and go in just maybe ½ an inch, just to go ahead and compensate for us being lower so that we have less camber essentially. But you want to always do this evenly, extending both sides. That way you have an even amount of threads inside of the actual control arm and not one side with less threads causing it to be weaker. Essentially repeat that for every single arm that you're going to be putting on the car so that you get somewhat an eyeballed alignment before you even start eyeballing your alignment, because starting from completely different setup is atrocious. All right, so this one is the bucket delete, so we'll go ahead and get this out of here. I always put my bolts back, or try to always put my bolts back so I don't lose them. Slide it right up in there. Leave it all loose so that we can still adjust as we need. We got our first arm in, good to go there. And now we will work on the camber arm. Just for reference, when you do this camber arm too, you do have to drop the sway bar a little bit in order to get this nut off of the backside. Well, from factory, it's the bolt on that side. So you can switch it if you want, do it at your own risk. I have to leave this one loose because in order to get the compression arm that comes this way on, I have to have this one off and out of the way, at least a little bit. Just to give some clarification, there is a bracket that goes up here, kind of like this, essentially. I'm gonna have to take this out because we've got to get to this stud on the back side and get a socket up in there to take this out, because we use a different fitting or mounting point that FDF provides in order to get this thing in. So let's get the socket on there and get this off and stop getting smacked in the face by this. Please, thanks. Okay, yeah, it's a 22. All right. Now, we got a socket on it. I'm gonna have to add another one, it looks like. And then shit. That's not gonna work. I might be able to get a wrench up in there. Let me make sure I have a 22. Actually, I know I have a 22. Yeah, so we can get a wrench in there. Holy hell. That had some fucking bite to it. Yep, we broke her loose. Nice. It's not that bad, but I see what people are talking about, how that is kind of a tricky one to get to. Just a few little brackets out the way though, and you can easily get it off with a wrench. And now, let's take a hammer, pop this sucker out of there. Take an extension, get back in there. Definitely probably gonna need to. Yep, just like that. Just to give you a little bit of a visual of what's going on back here. So this is your subframe mounting point. This is just a little bracket that goes all the way across the back side of your tank, and it gets pressed in essentially, and then the bolt goes to the back of it. So we have almost this identical looking piece for FDF, except it's made for FDF. On your FDF arm, this is the little part of the bracket. It's actually integrated and pressed into the arm itself already. So literally all you have to do is go ahead and feed the bolt through the opposite side of the actual flange, and then that goes up in your little hole up there. Then you'll take your washer and nut and just throw it on the back side. You have to pull it back a little bit because the bolt's fairly long. A lot easier, it should be at least, to get on rather than off. Where's my 19 wrench? Of course, so back up. Oh, I hate working on the ground. I need a freaking lift, bro. Now that we got that on there, we can move on. Now that we got all the arms on, let's go through and just start tightening some bolts. Definitely get your lockout kits for these. I'm still gonna order them, I just forgot. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and button this all up and make sure it's good to go. Oh, fuck, that hurt. Now, last thing we gotta throw in is the tie rod brackets. Or not tie rod brackets, sway bar bracket that goes to the upper control arm. And it should be a 14 mil. Realistically, everything you're gonna be dealing with under here is either most commonly a 17, second most commonly a 19, third most commonly a 14, and then last two are obviously your 12 and 10 millimeters everywhere. But most of your suspension bolts are 17 and 19. And of course, last thing we got to do is put an axle in on this side and make sure all of our adjustments are good to go. The good thing is that once you have this rear arms kit on, everything is on car adjustable. So you're just twisting the arms on the inside of the mounting points and they all adjust to whatever you need. Now, I don't think you personally need me to show you how to button all this stuff up on the back side. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people, when they do dual caliper brackets, they do tend to put axle spacers on there. Personally, I've never ran them on this car. My buddy Brennan, that I get most of my parts from and, you know, learned how to build a Z or a G, he's never used them either, never had an issue. But if you are skeptical, go ahead and get the axle spacers. I will continue on with my personal experience and just skip that fact because we're realistically not taking that much thread from the end of the axle when you already have so much already sticking out past the nut on the axle anyways. Now, as much as I would want to go ahead and, you know, get everything done, sun's already going down, so we're losing daylight very quickly. Next time we will catch up and go over not only the FDF front kit, but we will be throwing on, hopefully, the BC Racing coilovers in there as well. But yeah, I appreciate it, and I guess I'll catch you in the next one.
Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. We in the bag of the band, shit like a sauna, she working a sweat.